This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and William Hill. I'm delighted to be joined in the Matchroom HQ garden with the City of London behind him, but I am joined with Frank Smith. How are you, mate? It's a beautiful day today. How's things?
It's a bit hot, innit? When you're a bit unfit and overweight and the heat's hitting 30, it's a bit warm, innit? We're not built for this over here. Haven't got the aircon set up, but good to be here. Summer barbecue, lovely little setup.
Keep doing them 5Ks, mate, you might get there.
Did 11K this morning. I was running away from, I was obviously trying to run away from someone. But no, it's keeping it up, mate.
Yeah, definitely keep it up, mate. We're here, as I said, at Matchroom HQ. A lot of the talent for September 30th is here. A big man that is centred around is Jordan Thompson. He has a chance at gold against Jai Opetaia. How good is this card at Wembley Arena? How big of a chance is this for Jordan Thompson?
Yeah, look, we're delighted to deliver the opportunity for Jordan. You know, this was a test he wanted. You know, Jai Opetaia, widely regarded and we believe #1 in the cruiserweight division, and Jordan's got all the chances to go in there and change his life, really. You know, and it's, like I say, great to deliver this kind of opportunity, and excited for a big night on September 30. You know, a great card as well. Ellie Scotney defends her world title. Chev Clark as well, who's been in exciting fights, takes on Vasil Duka. You know, someone that obviously Jordan's been in with. You know, and a load of talent on the undercard as well. You know, Maisie Rose, Shannon Ryan, George Liddard, Jimmy Sains. It's a packed card from top to bottom, so excited for it.
How important is it in boxing to have opportunities, per se? Because Jordan Thompson wasn't really that much in line for a world title picture. Riakporhe turned it down, Masternak turned it down, Brady's wasn't ready, so Jordan Thompson steps in. How important is it that you take these opportunities when they come?
100%. You know, look, Jordan could be waiting 18 months if he didn't take this world title shot, you know, for another world title opportunity, and it might never come. And there's hard fights to get to that road as well. You know, he's jumped straight in there against the best, as we say, in Jai Opetaia. He's taken a chance, but it's what you have to do in the sport. And you know, when other people don't want to take it or there's other reasons for it, you know, he's stepped up and fair play.
Absolutely. We'll get on to last weekend's action. We see Chris Eubank Jr. avenge his defeat against Liam Smith. What did you make of the performance? I know you sort of got quite close ties to Eubank Jr. I know he might be a bit of a confident interest of him fighting Ben next, but what did you sort of make of the performance? Yeah,
I thought it was a great performance. You know, he looked very good. He looked composed. Probably one of the best performances he's put in his career. And you know, he had a lot of pressure on him to right the wrong of last time. And you know, Liam's the best man won on both nights. You know, Liam Smith won January. He had a great performance, and you know, but you have to respect Chris as well, because the pressure's always on him, and he's gone back in there and delivered a performance like that. He knows there's big fights to come, so yeah, big win for him.
And when you look at Liam Smith after, he talked about cutting 42 pounds. Joe McNally done an interview with Boxing News and said that they had to take the September 2nd date. Whilst it was a good performance from Eubank Jr., with all the factors that went into Liam Smith, do you feel like he might have got like, sort of black medal, had no choice, got done with the business side, where he had to take September 2nd, or the fight would have been gone?
Look, I think, as I said, like, boxers, a lot of the time boxers are always going to be in a position where the camp's not perfect. They're never going to say it. You know, they're never going to go through the detail of what they've been through. But, you know, we're in a hard sport where they train for 8, 9, 10 weeks, sparring, you know, heavy duty stuff. And the fight is not always going to be in the, you know, peak physical condition. It's just the reality. You know, I don't think Chris, I'm sure, could have had excuses the first time around. So I think, look, you just have to give both people their night. The best person won on the night. And, you know, like I say, fighters aren't always, you know, if you're not 100%, it's not always going to be your night, but the best man won.
How much does this potentially tie in for a massive fight against Conor Benn?
But it's the natural fight. It's a massive fight to be made. A massive fight for the sport. And, you know, we believe probably one of the biggest fights in British boxing, and that's, you know, that's our aim to make it happen. Work to be done. I'm sure Chris has got a lot of opportunities as well. You know, part of him will want to try and win a world title, but at the same time, this is a big fight. This is a big fight to be made, and a fight that will go down, you know, in his legacy and career as one of the biggest, I'm sure. So yeah, let's see what happens. I don't like talking too much about it because I do too much talking about fights that don't materialise. Let's try and do the work and see if we can get it over the line.
Is that going to be at middleweight?
Yeah, it would be at 160. If that fight happened, it would be at 160, correct? No catchweight.
And for Conor, with him coming back after the lengthy layoff, I remember I asked him and he wasn't really that particularly interested in taking another 10-rounder. We saw Ivan Redkach was a name that was mentioned previously, I saw on Twitter. But is that the idea that you want him sort of a 10-rounder just to get the cobblers off then when you go into a big fight?
No, I think we'll see how it would be good to get a run out, but we'll see how things go. Nothing's set right now, but the key for us is to deliver a major fight for Conor Benn. So that's what we're working through currently.
Moving on, we saw last weekend there was no VADA testing for Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. We see Joe Cusimano had an adverse fight. I know it was a New York State Athletic Commission test, but we've seen recently that Matchroom have been going above and beyond for drug testing. When you see that other promoters in the UK aren't doing the same in America, how disappointing is this to see? And sort of, is it worrying to see that not everyone's really on the same page?
Yeah, look, everyone wants to talk a good game. Everyone wants to talk everyone else down, but the reality is people don't want to invest the money. People say you're going on about other people, so I'm going to take it away from other people and just say we're investing in the safety of our own fighters, our own business, and ensuring that the sport's as safe as possible. I'd be very surprised if people follow suit, but all we can do is what we can do. We're willing and happy, and we have been for a long time, to invest the money to make the sport as safe as possible. Additional layers of testing can only be good for that. So, hopefully people follow suit. I doubt they will, but, we can only do our own part.
Simon Jordan done a tweet just before Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank on the Friday, saying that who needs VADA when you see the mess with Conor Benn when UKAD's fine. How do you respond to that comment?
I've lost my voice for a minute. Simon Jordan is just the most up, down, it just doesn't know what he wants. Every day's different, and it's just an agenda against us, really. How can having additional testing, an additional measure of testing being put in place, not be better for the sport? And people getting at the end of the day, and look, I know the restrictions UKAD are under in terms of from a financial standpoint, and both UKAD and the board. So if we're putting extra measures in place for the safety of the sport, it's great. But he's got an agenda. He's so far up Boxxer and Ben Shalom's arse. I think he's actually an investor in their bill, getting involved in their business in some way. So he's got his own set agenda. And again, this is nothing against Chris Eubank Jr. or Liam Smith. But they're real, true athletes. They've tested their whole career. But in terms of this fight, there probably wasn't enough testing. But that's not their fault. But people like Simon Jordan, people just think I'm just negative. But Simon Jordan, just a bit of a moron. But we move on.
Another man that always sort of has a lot to say about your business, Frank Warren. I asked him yesterday what he thought about Matchroom with their drug testing, and he said, well, why do they try and act like they're above and beyond when Conor Benn didn't have a hearing for the second test? What do you sort of make of that response from Warren?
Look, Conor Benn's been through a process on multiple levels. Whether people want to believe it or not, he has. It's funny, people like Frank Warren, who, when there was a situation with Billy Joe Saunders and the board obviously decided, he was on the the call with he was involved in the investigation with the Boston Athletic Commission when they decided for the fight not to go ahead, begging for the fight to go ahead. So you can't pick and choose. What it's not. Every day's different. But look, these people are just hypocrites. Just get out and get on with it.
That's just the last one about Frank Warren from me. He did say that he wanted Chris Eubank Jr. to fight Zach Parker next.
I mean, I don't represent Chris Eubank Jr., but why on earth would Chris Eubank Jr. fight Zach Parker? If I did, what does that... And no disrespect to Zach Parker, he's a lovely bloke, but it's just coming off a loss against John Ryder, I think. He hasn't boxed since then. What is Zach Parker going to offer Chris Eubank Jr.? The man is just a bit desperate, but it is what it is.
We saw Adam Azim get 10 rounds under his belt on last Saturday. His name is always flirted with Dalton Smith. How far do you think we are off of potentially seeing that fight?
We made an offer yesterday, actually, to Boxxer, Ben Shalom and the team. his big team of people in his office. Hopefully they got it. Hopefully it hasn't got lost in the mail chain between them all. But yeah, we made an offer. Let's see. It was a massive offer for Adam Azim, more money than he's ever seen for a fight. It's a great fight. So let's see what they say. They say they want to work with other promoters. We'll see.
And with a fight like that, where they're both hotly tipped as in super lightweight, they're the number one and number two in the UK. Everyone regards them so highly. Whilst you would want to make the fight now, is it also good at times to potentially let that brew for a potential title down the line?
Yeah, look, you never know. Like all these fights, some of these fights that are spoken about for you, like Kelbrook Amir Khan's a perfect example. Could you have made that years before, before they even went into their peak? And would we have seen? When's better to see it? Who knows? Doesn't mean there can't be a run of them, and also a loss at this stage of a fighter's career isn't the end, and doesn't mean there's not a future, to build back up. So we'll see what happens. Let's see whether they acknowledge the offer first, and we'll go from there.
We had the red carpet yesterday for Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou for the British title. David Adeleye was meant to fight Fabio Wardley. Hopefully it's still happening, but they got in a scrap where Fabio Wardley ended up getting cut, issue with his finger. Is it sort of disappointing to see that this might not be happening now?
Yeah, it's a shame to see for the fighters, because I don't actually think it was the fighters who caused the initial issue. I don't think. Look, there's a lot of spite between the two of them and aggro, but at the end of the day, it's about getting in the ring on the night and settling that. It's other people, as part of the teams that cause the problems. So, it's a shame to see and hopefully the fight's not delayed, because it's a great fight. But yeah, it's a shame to see people doing, I think he got an elbow in the face and then he got caught with a shot, and it wasn't even from David Adeleye. But, let's see.
Just to finish up, we just see O'Shaquie Foster defend his title against Rocky Hernandez. What have we got coming up? Potentially Joe Cordina in Monaco. Are we looking at potential two of the winner of that?
Yeah, look, O'Shaquie Foster, as you say, October 28th, we're in Cancun with that show we announced yesterday. Rocky Hernandez is a brilliant fighter of ours. We're looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a great fight. You've got Huni Tabiti on the undercard of that show as well. And then Joe Cordina, I think once we put this out, will be announced. Fights my mind's gone complete. Eduardo Vasquez on November 4th in Monaco, which will be announced shortly. And look, that's a great fight to be made next year. We've been quite open about the restrictions around being able to make a big unification fight for Joe because of the size of the arena at that time of the year. But there's big fights to be made for Joe after this. We've got obviously the potential winner of Wood Warrington as well, stepping up to 130. That could be an interesting fight. So, lots of exciting opportunities, but some big shows coming up to the end of the year.
Just last one from me. Prograde talks about good news. Is that good news to do with Devin Haney?
Hopefully we got good news soon.
Frank, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Good to catch up with you, mate. Thank you.